Hello everyone, I'm meteorologist Charlie Ironmonger. Thank you so much for joining me today for your 9 a.m. news and weather update from the First Alert Desk. Now we've got news out of Craven County that could affect some drivers early on this morning and potentially over the next few days. A contractor for the North Carolina Department of Transportation will close Highway 101 between Roosevelt Boulevard and Cunningham Boulevard today for milling and resurfacing work. Now, the road is expected to reopen by 5 p.m. on Thursday. And beginning on Friday, contractors will conduct intermittent lane closures from Cunningham Road to McCotter Boulevard to finish additional work. One lane will stay open to through traffic. The lane closures are expected to last for about 2 weeks. The NCDOT says signed detour routes will be available using McCotter Boulevard as the work is underway. Drivers are asked to use caution when traveling near the area and seek alternative routes to avoid delays. And of course, we also need to talk about the criminal investigation into Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell. NBC's Alice Barr has more.
This morning, political pushback over the Justice Department's investigation into Federal Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell, with a series of Republican lawmakers voicing concerns.
I know Chairman Powell very well. I will be stunned. I will be shocked if he has done anything wrong.
Chairman Powell himself announced the Federal Reserve had been subpoenaed, he says tied to his congressional testimony in June about costly pre-planned renovations to the Fed's headquarters in D.C. that shot from $1.9 to $2.5 billion, though not taxpayer money. President Trump has slammed the overruns, while also repeatedly pressuring Powell to lower interest rates.
Well, I'd love him to lower interest rates.
The chairman calling that pressure the true source of the criminal inquiry with the Federal Reserve.
Setting interest rates based on our best assessment of what will serve the public, rather than following the preferences of the president.
Now, in a joint statement, all living former Fed chairs and several Treasury secretaries warning the DOJ inquiry threatens the Federal Reserve's independence and risks hurting the U.S. economy and inflation. The White House denies President Trump sought the investigation, and the president told NBC News he would not try to pressure Powell that way, adding, quote, "What should pressure him is the fact that rates are far too high. That's the only pressure he's got." The U.S. Attorney for Washington, D.C., Jeanine Pirro, posted that her office contacted the Federal Reserve to discuss renovation cost overruns and Powell's testimony, but were ignored, necessitating the use of the legal process. In Washington, Alice Barr, NBC News.
Thank you, Alice, for that report. We now turn to your weather forecast. Looking sunny again today. Tomorrow, though, is the transition day where we go from, well, sunny conditions to a little bit more cloud cover and eventually some rain showers back in the east. Right now, here's a look at what we've got outside. Air temperatures down. It is a cold start to the day, of course. We had another cold start yesterday. Today, though, the afternoon highs are certainly going to be noticeably warmer than what we were dealing with yesterday at around 2 or 3 p.m. Right now, 36 degrees along the News River in Craven County. Calm winds showing, again, a fairly mild morning. But once we get those southwesterly winds blowing again, that's going to bring air temperatures up quickly. So right now, yeah, we're in the mid to upper 30s throughout most of the east. Along the coast, we've got the 40s showing up. But later on today, again, these southwesterly winds are going to show a little bit more speed to them, giving it about a 6 to 12 mile per hour breeze this afternoon, certainly by the time we get to lunchtime. And that will carry our air temperatures beyond just the upper 40s to low 50s we had yesterday into the upper 50s. Some areas may try and sneak into the low 60s later on today. Again, plenty of sunshine, southwesterly winds, and usually is the recipe we need in order to take our air temperatures a little bit above our seasonal average. Now, normal this time of year is the mid to upper 50s. We'll essentially be at that mark later on today. But moving forward through the next few days, we're not going to be hanging on to those average temperatures for long. For tomorrow morning, starting out in the upper 30s, getting into the low to mid 50s as we approach lunchtime, and that's where our air temperatures are likely going to plateau in that mid to upper 50s range, maybe a degree or two cooler tomorrow than what we'll experience today. But the big difference is going to be the cloud cover. Today's going to be a sunny day from start to finish. Tomorrow, the clouds roll in and the raindrops join them. Here's a look at how everything is going to be playing out over the next 48 hours. For today, again, not a cloud in the sky, looking very sunny across the east. And then we get into Wednesday. So start out with mid to high level cloud cover. No rain showers early on in the day, but then once we get to around lunchtime, we will start to see some spotty light showers moving over eastern North Carolina. Nothing, again, super heavy until, well, even once we get to around 4, 5, 6 o'clock. I'm still not anticipating super heavy showers, but we will see an increase in rainfall rates. So the raindrops are going to be a little bit heavier by the time we get to your Wednesday evening. Of course, it's going to be a multiple round rain event. We're going to have our first kind of noticeable widespread round of rain later on tomorrow evening into tomorrow night. Then, as we head into the very early hours of your Thursday morning, right around midnight to around 5 a.m., we're going to be getting another cold front through eastern North Carolina. So kind of a double front evening, and that is really going to drive air temperatures down once those two fronts move their way off the coast. Here's a look at how it all comes together. There's that first one rolling through and then followed up by that second one. And then we are left Thursday morning with clearing skies and cold temperatures. That area of high pressure is going to reinforce the cold air blowing down out of the Great Lakes across Ohio, West Virginia, and into eastern North Carolina. You can see the moisture streaks across Indiana, Ohio, Kentucky, and West Virginia showing up as snowflakes. Now, while the moisture will not make it over eastern North Carolina, the point being is that the air over the east will be at times cold enough to support snowflakes. Now, of course, earlier in the week, it looked like we may see another area of low pressure bubble up off of our coast, which would have led to an opportunity for some snowflakes. But alas, models have since recorrected and no longer seeing that area of low pressure off of our coast as we head through your Thursday. Highs in the low 40s. Most of us will likely be in the upper 30s through the day, but overnight lows down at 20 degrees flat for Friday morning. Get ready for a chill. Hopefully everybody has their winter jackets out and ready, because this week we're certainly going to need them, and lo and behold, coming up next week, you're going to need them as well. 56 degrees on Saturday, turns to 46 on Sunday after another cold front rolls through, and we will hang on to that chill for Martin Luther King Jr. Day as well as the following Tuesday. Well, that's all we have time for today's 9 a.m. news and weather update from the First Alert Desk. I want to thank you all so much for joining me. We'll be back with more news and weather coming up at the top of the hour. Until then, have a fantastic Tuesday.
This hour of the WITN First Alert Desk is sponsored by ENC Pirate Realty.